Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc. But this is a particularly exciting, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Technical problems.
Particularly exciting event. We're celebrating our 100th episode, Hassan.
Yeah.
Our 100th episode. And what else do we do? Well, we got party hats. Well, my party hat just fell. I'll use Sam's party hat. We got party hats. I'll get you over here.
Yeah.
I got you. We got party hats.
Don't film me.
We got Sam. We got all these people doing all these really great things. We got all these guests.
Hold on. Great.
We got party hats. Hassan on camera.
Pan over. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo!
We're here. We're doing it.
We're doing it because it's time. It's time. We're gonna. Benny Rose just gave us a happy holidays. Happy holidays, Benny, but happy.
Awesome.
And we're drinking because we're gonna need it. We're talking Star Wars Last Jedi today.
Are we?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Yeah. Well, hey, cheers to.
Did you warn me about that?
Cheers to this.
Talk about that?
We did good. Yeah. We did cheers. Yeah. Clink, clink, clink. Yeah.
All right.
All right, we did the festivities.
Yes,
now we get
did.
down to business here. Oh, now we get down to business. No, it's really exciting, though. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tonight we're on special at 7 o'clock because we are going to be 2 hours long, and we're gonna need it. We've got some in-studio guests. We got past guests who have been on the show before. We're doing a little who's who of who we've had. We're going to have a lot of people commenting.
Guests? So wait, hold on. Are they here now? Or we're just talking about we've had guests in the past?
Both.
Okay.
We have had both guests, and they will be on...
Both these particular people have been here in the past.
Yes. So we got...
And they're here now.
We have one of our... Actually, we have two beloved patrons, actually, in the studio. We have Brian Phillips, who is an executive producer. He's in studio with us.
Right.
We got Jack O'Donnell, who is part of the... Actually,
I didn't know he was an executive producer and he'd fire us. Yeah.
We're going to take the Patreon page down.
Oh, okay. So we're...
So we're okay with that. No, and we have Jack O'Donnell, who is of the Ashley Haikai friendly as well too. So we have two. See, this is what you get when you become a patron. You get to come in studio with us and be friends with us. It's very nice.
Yes,
it's good. But we also have some mystery guests coming, so stay tuned.
Mystery guests.
We're gonna do this. All right, but the news of the day. What's the news of the day, Hassan? What do you think? What do you think everyone's talking about?
Nothing's really going on.
Nothing.
I mean, everything's been really quiet. We got tax reform.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what people come here for.
Yeah.
They come here for the tax reform.
Well, that's what I know. I mean, what are you talking about?
Episode 100, completely pivot. We are now a right-wing, Rush Limbaugh-esque right-wing media station.
It'll just be me every week going, what am I doing here? Why am I here?
Before we move forward, though, I do want to give a shout-out to our beloved patrons, including Stephanie Dolce, who actually helped the entire show. This show almost didn't happen.
Right.
We were driving in, and I realized that I had no laptop. So my wonderful sister got into our house, got the laptop, met us halfway.
Yes.
And we were able to have
you
the show.
did. You deployed your sister.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
Yeah, she was deployed.
I did. So, give a shout out to Stephanie. Thank you for helping us.
Way to use family. Way to go.
Well, we needed that. We absolutely needed that. So, all right. We're talking about Last Jedi. I know why. I know so many people want to talk about it. I didn't make Brian and Jack talk about it. They're going to be on in the next segment and then the rest of the show as well, too.
Yeah.
I want to give us a little bit of a forum. This is a little weird situation for us, actually.
Right.
We are probably going to be on the same page, not for the same reasons.
Really?
And then the show never works. So we do have other people who loved it. We got people tuning in who loved it.
Oh, wait, you're just giving it away how we felt about it.
So, you know what watching that movie...
I didn't like it.
Do you know what watching that movie was like? It was like eating candy for dinner. You kind of eat it, and you kind of like you're eating you're eating lollipops, you're eating the chocolate, and you're getting all this you're getting full. You're eating, I should say.
Right.
But then when you leave the
empty calories and stuff like that. Right.
And then a couple hours later, you're kind of like sick to your stomach.
So to you, it was the equivalent of early dessert.
Yeah. Yeah.
That felt like a beating to me. And someone was straddling me, punching me in the face repeatedly.
Yeah. You hung out with TJ. This has got to be the most controversial Star Wars ever because there are so many things at play with it. And look, I use that term because it's a buzz term. I do. But at the same time, it really is controversial because I've just never seen such a... I mean, people are giving it like a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10, and I think they're out of their mind. I'm thinking that, and I'm gonna approach this not from a Star Wars diehard, and that's where I think we're gonna differ, right?
Okay.
I think you're gonna approach it from you're a Star Wars diehard. I love it. Don't get me wrong. Sam loved it. Everyone loves it, right? I mean, no. Star Wars in general. Like everyone loves Star Wars, right? So there is that, right?
I have a passing fancy.
There's like a George Lucas like Buddha statue, like in your.
George Lucas is actually in my house right now, on the terrace. You know, you stay here. I'll be right back. I got to do the show.
I'm gonna look at this from a completely like, what in the hell did you do writing wise? Like, from a writer's standpoint. Actually, I'm gonna even quote.
It's so strange to be on the same page with people now. Like, there's so many people like that just was not good.
Like, it just wasn't a good movie.
No, and
yeah, no.
This is the reason, in my opinion, one of the reasons, and we will go into depth about this. One of the reasons this wasn't.
Beer me up, Jack. Beer me up.
There's one of the reasons. Yeah, me too. We're not making you drink. Don't say that on the air.
No, we're not making you drink.
Yeah.
What we say is going to make you drink. No, beer me up. Beer me up. You're like whiskeying up.
We're putting you to work. Get to work. That's the problem.
Guys. Okay.
The problems I always cite with The Force Awakens bled right over into this. And that is one of the reasons why there's so... No.
Okay, go ahead.
That's not one of the reasons it's bad. That's one of the reasons why it's so polarizing. No.
Oh, okay, so polarizing.
Yes,
okay.
I'm not telling you. We're getting into the we'll get into the bad.
Okay.
But one of the reasons it's so people are so having such strong a reaction to it, mostly in the negative. There's two of us.
Yeah.
Is because there was so much stuff purposely left out of that first one that there was nothing but expectations for this second one.
When I walked out of the movie, I felt like, man, that was an amazing Chapter 3. Why did I miss Chapter 2? Where did Chapter 2 come from?
When I walked out, I was like, I need an ambulance. Because I was being beaten while watching this.
I don't want to just give like hyperbole either.
Movie.
Like, I really did feel like it was a culmination of, you know...
They could have ended on that.
Apparently, Kylo and Rey had a relationship in that second movie that we didn't see. That some sort of bond, because they didn't have any bond coming out of The Force Awakens.
No, they tried to kill each other.
Right, now all of a sudden they were like kind of into each other, which was weird.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, it's a spoiler. Sorry, spoilers. Figured I'd give the notification. There's a spoiler here. Snoke. Who is Snoke? It doesn't matter.
No. Doesn't matter.
Who's this?
Doesn't matter.
You know, I mean, it's like...
I had for years and years, I had a neighbor that actually, she never came out of the house and then she died. And I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Her name is...
I was never going to meet her. I don't know anything about her. I don't know how she lived. I don't know what she was, what her impressions of anything are, because she's dead now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's so much... I mean, look, there's definitely... And I use the candy for dinner reference. There are so many little things, like, look, the light speed... dismantling of the Empire. We're going to call them the Empire. I don't care.
That's what they are.
Right. I don't. Like, that's cool. Like, that was really cool. It was a cool scene. There was a lot of really cool scenes. I think Adam Driver's an actor. Tremendous. Like, he's giving us...
He was the only good thing in the movie, as far as I was concerned.
He's giving us kind of what I wish... Hayden Christensen had given us in the prequels, in terms of seeing somebody kind of turning to the dark side and consuming. Like, I wish that was the kind of actor that we had in the prequels. Well,
he was already in the dark side, so...
No, he was, but you could see him, I mean, he was kind of teetering, in this movie, in terms of what they wanted to show you and what they were trying to set you up for. But then to see him go fully into that, I thought was really cool. Like, I mean, there's little things. Like, there's little things. And then there's Luke milking an alien for no reason. There's a scene that reminded me of Monty Python, for God's sakes. Like, it literally, that whole scene where Luke is just like, get out of here. And now I'm going to do Ben Affleck and just get buff for like 30 minutes on screen for you. But instead I'm going to fish. I'm going to like show you like I'm like, woo, I'm using my Star Wars powers to fish.
He wasn't, though.
No, I know. That's even worse, right?
Because they make a point of saying later that he cut himself off from the Force.
But the beer's coming out of here. That's it. Yeah, we're breaking it out. Go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
He made his point of saying he was cutting himself off from the Force so that, so she couldn't even see him in the Force. So how did he float over and kill that whale?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
What did he use to kill that whale with? I mean,
I don't know. It was like
It was a horrible film. It was a horrible film. They had 6 hours. They were like, we have 6 hours of fuel. So it was, but 5 days passed on Rey's planet.
If
nobody even noticed that. Like, wait a minute.
Here's the thing: if they could sneak off Finn, which again, let's talk about Finn, utterly useless in this movie, right? Mm-hmm. And they basically were like, well, we're going to give you like a cute like little sidekick for this movie who's gonna, and maybe we'll get some romantic tension, which there was none. And then all of a sudden there was like, hey, I love you. What? Like really? Like you love him? Like really? That's weird. And she wouldn't even let him.
Star Wars.
She wouldn't let him do the one thing I thought was like really cool. He was going to kill himself to save everybody, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, she stopped him. She stopped him from sacrificing himself
so they could die.
Yeah, she stopped him from sacrificing himself and thusly condemning everybody else in the base to death. Yeah. And in the meantime, they're wrecked right in front of a whole bunch of Imperial forces.
And why didn't they just shoot him? They're like, hey, by the way, they
didn't even care. They were like, it's just Finn.
If Finn could somehow sneak away from this battle that's happening, or this chase that's happening, why didn't they all just do it? Why didn't they all just sneak away?
Why is there a chase? Why is a cruiser using fossil fuel? Okay, why is it a chase? And in a frictionless environment, you have to burn your fuel to keep going. Okay, now, like, I know we're talking physics, and it's ridiculous, but also... Oh, great, we're getting killed by the scenery. Also...
Yeah, did it come down? Alright, we were expecting that halfway through.
Also, they make a point to show you that the shields are working, right? The Empire keeps shooting at them?
Yeah.
So then how did they shoot the ship and Leia got sucked out into space if the shields were up?
Well, no, the shields were only in the back there.
Well, there's only rear shields, what they didn't actually say.
Right.
So, okay, so if they're going at top...
They did. Well, okay, there's a
Okay. No, they didn't. If they're going at top speed to get away from the Empire, and Leia's floating in space, how come she could get back to the ship? How come the ship didn't zoom right by her? Like, there's so many little stupid things.
Brian wants to jump in. I'm gonna give him a minute.
It's not his segment.
It's true.
You're gonna cut me off so that the executive producer can talk. Hey, that's fine. People say you don't listen to me.
Spend a hard $5 a month. Come on.
It's a lot of money, actually.
One, the ship was inside of the shield when it shot out the bridge.
Okay.
That's why she was able to suck
That's not true.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not.
They were inside. It was a small ship.
I watched it this afternoon.
Did you really?
Yes,
Look at you go.
I've seen it twice already.
No,
I watched it this afternoon.
That is his second time. Sorry.
And the other one was, I don't know why she wasn't
the scene where she got shot out into space. It was the whole scene where Kylo was like, he zoomed around and he was thinking about blowing the bridge away. And
yeah, but they're inside of the shields. Because they're in the small ships that are traveling inside of the shields. The question is, why was the ship able to just cross through the shields with no problems?
Well, that's another thing. Also, two really small pet peeves.
When we come back.
We can come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday, 9 to 10 Eastern Time, and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential. Live life your way. on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Joined by my esteemed colleague and co-host, Lord of the Radio.
Lord of the Radio.
Lord of the Radio.
Thank you very much.
Do you have to apply? Do you have to go to college for that? Is there some sort of classes?
I could tell you how to become Lord of the Radio, but then you'd become Lord of the Radio, and I wouldn't be Lord of the Radio
This is
anymore.
very true.
No such thing as co-lord.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We are talking Last Jedi. We do this every week.
Last Jedi sucked.
Let me pay the bills here. Come on. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, which is usually 8 o'clock. We're on 7 o'clock tonight because it's our 100th episode. Spectacular. Woo! Very exciting. We're drinking in the studio because it's our 100th episode. Let's do it. Right? We got some surprise guests coming on. We got some in-studio guests not coming on. They're here.
Some not-so-surprise guests.
We have a whole bunch of cool things that are going on here. But Secrets of the Sire is brought to you by all of our beloved patrons. We have dedicated fans Einar Peterson, Matt Byer, Ashley Haikai, our program director, Stephanie Dolce, who saved the show tonight. Thank you, Stephanie. Our executive producers, Steve Hovecki, Brian Phillips, and Christina Gillen. All right, so we're talking Last Jedi. Pat Shan just joined on the Facebook feed. He hasn't seen it yet, but he's one of our esteemed mystery guests. I know I revealed it, but he also posted it online, so it's okay.
But he hasn't seen it yet?
He hasn't seen Last Jedi yet. We're not going to talk to him about
listening to us.
Well, we're going to be well, yeah, I know. There's going to be some stuff here.
Yeah, a little bit, because I'm wrecked this
So let me say this before we go back to what we were talking about. Before we go back to what we were talking about.
Okay.
In a way, take the writing out of it. I actually thought you would love you'd be a fan of the aesthetics of the movie, Hassan, because to me, especially on the Casino Planet, it felt like
everybody says that
the prequels. It felt like because it felt cartoonish. And I'm not talking about the actual.
You can't help it.
Plot. No. I'm asking this a genuine question. I'm asking you a genuine question. I felt that the aesthetics went from the thing that makes Star Wars great. The thing that I think that made Rogue One very well liked, though. Obviously, look, Rogue One had the benefit of connecting directly to the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. I get that, but it was gritty. It was dirty. It felt like these were real machines running around. You know, the Casino Planet felt like a cartoon, and that's honestly one of my biggest complaints about the prequels. But did you actually like the visuals of the movie?
I never got that, but I mean, it didn't particularly remind me of the prequels. It was a terrible segment. It was a terrible scene. It was a terrible setup. It was a terrible MacGuffin because they didn't even get what they went there to get.
I know. They're like, we came here for the master codebreaker,
and we'll settle
for Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, we'll settle for the werewolf guy.
Everyone knocks Benicio del Toro, but I like Benicio because he's just kind of.
He's all right. He's okay. But then they get caught on a parking violation and got thrown into jail. I mean, I know it was supposed to be ironically funny to be in a science fiction movie and get caught on a parking violation. But if you're trying to be covert, get in and get out, why would you park on a freaking beach?
Yeah.
Who can't see a ship on a beach? I was like, what's that? That's a ship. It's a ship on a beach.
So this is
someone landed their ship on a beach.
So we're going to welcome Brian and we're going to welcome Jack and we'll give him a little video time. Yeah, that's right. I think the main question that I have, and we'll get into some other stuff. We've actually got some of the biggest unanswered questions from Last Jedi that we're gonna go through as well too. So we're not just going to leave it on this good, this bad, whatever the case is. there is so much praise for this movie, and you both were very big in support of it. And I don't want to deter you from that line of thinking. Give me, and Hassan is going to drink while you do it. Give me, your main 3 points that you walked away feeling like this was awesome. I'm not steering this in any which way. I'm actually genuinely curious.
Hassan has ruined a couple of them. And he has brought up good points. I got very... I loved I felt like I was back into Star Wars again. And I think that was the... It caught me up in it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
In the nostalgia of it. And now he's bringing things to light, which I'm kind of now going like, well, that is a really good point. I did love a lot of
Candy for dinner.
Exactly.
Candy
I
for
love,
dinner.
though, however, how it evolved. It wasn't like the last first one, not Rogue One.
Sure.
But that was like, it wasn't a remake of New Hope. It wasn't whatever.
Sure.
Everything evolved.
Okay.
And I love that part of it. So, yeah.
Brian, what do you got?
I mean, for me, the simple fact is I'm not a purist. I'm not one of those people that take everything for like, it has to be exactly this way. Physics, logic, knowledge. I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars. It's fun.
Yeah.
You watch it for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to pick anything apart, you can pick apart every favorite movie I had as a child.
No,
I hate this argument. I don't know. Your point is perfectly valid.
It's fun for me to watch. If there is a part that doesn't make sense, I just move past it and go, okay, well, that didn't make sense. Whatever, it's gone. It's gone from my life.
So for you, the candy was worth it.
The candy's worth it.
The stomach ache is worth it.
Listen, I'm a diabetic. The candy was definitely worth it, all right?
We've got Priya on the line. I want to hear Priya, fellow Talk Radio .NYC host, who is surprise calling in because we're having surprise guests. Priya, what did you think of the movie? And, I don't want to go whose side are you on, but whose side are you on?
So, first of all, I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
That's the reason I was calling in, to wish you all a happy 100th episode and how much I love you guys and how fun you are. So, yay, congratulations.
Woo! She's like, now I'm going to rip you a new one.
So the movie, I love the movie, and I think you saw from my Facebook post, I gave it a 6, because there were so many ups and downs. Like, there were some really, I don't know, can I...
Yeah, no, it's spoiler. We warned everybody after we started already spoiling it.
Yes.
But go ahead.
Okay, I'm not going to hit any spoilers. There were so many ups and downs in the movie, but I'm totally going to share a female moment here. Okay. Because I know you all do this in the studio.
Well, it is a sausage party. It is a gigantic sausage party.
Ren was so hot. Like,
all right.
He was so hot.
Kylo Ren was one of the best parts of the movie. I say hands down. Hands down.
Oh my God, he was gorgeous. And there's that scene where he had his shirt off. He was hot.
I guess I made it a good movie.
And I totally thought he had those moments where him and what's her face? See, I forgot her name already because I was so focused on
Ray. You think Ray?
3.5 movie.
Staring at each other.
One point.
Look, Ren and Ray. It's not like it's.
I gotta be honest though. That's a very valid point. He looked. Even my dad's like, is he really that? Is that buff?
You thought he was dreamy?
No,
you think he was dreamy, Mike?
I thought he was actually.
You thought he was a little dreamy, didn't you?
Well, I always think he's dreamy.
He was gorgeous.
But even my dad was like, is he really like that in real life? Does he really bulk? I'm like, I'm sure he bulked up for the role.
You should have asked your dad. How would I know, Dad? He's sitting right next to you.
He respects my inside opinion.
He did used to be a Marine, so.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yes.
Did he really?
Yes. Yeah, he was in the Marines.
Look at that. All right.
He's a serious guy.
So 6 out of 10. If Adam Driver wasn't in it, like 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, then what's your rating?
No. I still think from all the ups and downs, definitely still a 6.
You made a comment there was some unnecessary shipping going on.
I definitely love the shipping action.
Oh, you did?
Happening between him and
Ray. Okay.
What's her name again?
Ray. It's Red and Ray. You got it. She's been drinking too. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're all drinking here. We're all having a good.
They definitely made the movie for me.
All right.
I felt like there was something there.
All right. Well, you know what? This is what we're doing. We're actually bringing on a lot of diverse opinions because for the first time, Hassan and I are like almost on 100% the same page here.
I'm the only one in the room apparently who still likes the movie.
Yeah, we'll find a way. We'll find a way to not be on the same page. So don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen.
You'll keep talking about the prequels, and it'll the whole conversation will degenerate.
The only comparison to the prequels is the cartoonishness of some of the visuals.
Yeah.
And that's
but then my contention would be the description of cartoonishness. So
the glistening, the glossy feel, the not realistic feel.
So the primary color feel of it.
Yes, and in a way, but it's like it almost felt like Rian Johnson did the same thing George Lucas did and got kind of carried away with the visual effects of what he could do and I'll give you a great juxtaposition. The scene where Laura Dern does the Lightspeed blast, like I thought that was beautiful and breathtaking. Like what a wonderful way to use your special effects, because that had impact. The horses galloping in the lush field, I mean, it just didn't feel real to me, and that's part of the allure of a Star Wars movie. And it's to me that there is fantasy based in reality, and that doesn't feel real to me. Costumes, puppets in costumes actually acting like real creatures and having real characters and looking real and being grimy and gritty.
Like that Yoda puppet?
Yeah, the original Yoda puppet is actually pretty good.
The one in this movie?
No. Not the one in this movie.
That's my point.
Yeah, not the one in this movie.
Yeah.
No, but that's my point.
But back in the 80s, they used to know how to do that stuff.
Exactly.
And now they're going backwards to it because they're trying to be retro and they're trying to rekindle instead of going forward.
But that
movie tried to have it so many ways. It's ridiculous.
Priya, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the congratulations. We really appreciate it. Check us out tomorrow, because we're all going to be in studio tomorrow. For the Talk Radio. Priya, you got 30 seconds. Tell everyone about the Talk Radio NYC Marathon going on tomorrow. No?
What?
Okay. Talk Radio NYC Marathon. Catch Priya.
I know what you said.
Catch Joan and Priya in studio.
On here tomorrow.
6 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be on at 1 p.m. I'll have a special guest as well. We're going to be doing our all day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Marathon. Priya, thank you so much. We appreciate the love. And check her out Fridays, noon Eastern. Follow Me Friday with Joan Pelzer.
Oh, I love you guys. Bye.
All right. Here's something too that I think we're
having sound issues according to.
Yeah, we've got those fixed now.
Oh.
Yeah, you're behind. You're behind.
I wasn't paying attention to anybody but me. I like me.
I think there's enough in there. Yeah, I think there's enough in there where you can walk away from the movie feeling that there's something was going on. But I'm not looking at it from a Star Wars point of view either. Like, you're not a Star Wars diehard. I love Star Wars. I know a lot about it. You love Star Wars.
I love Star Wars. Know a lot about it. But if I went in looking for every mistake and everything, I'd never enjoy the movie.
All right, enough of that. I don't look for mistakes. Mistakes jump out. Okay? That's
for me.
That's ridiculous. If these people tell you, if they say, we only have 6 hours of fuel, they're giving you that information for a reason. I'm sitting there like, they got 6 hours of fuel. Oh, they're in danger. And then 9 hours later, when they're still not running out of fuel, I'm like, well, you just told me you had 6 hours of fuel.
In that regard,
Superman gets killed by kryptonite. If he takes a rock of kryptonite and chucks it, and then uses his laser eyes to heat up a steak, I'm going to be like, well, why didn't the kryptonite work this time? It's real simple.
Yeah.
If you tell me there's a rule, you have to follow your rules.
That's a great point. We'll pick up on that after the commercial break. We've got we had a special guest when Priya jumped on, because that was unplanned.
She was so special, we didn't know she was going to be here.
But we have our first planned special guest coming up next.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you a curious person, always asking questions? Do you desire to be in the know? I'm your host, Antonia, of the show So Now You Know. Join me as I attempt to satisfy your curiosity. Listen live Tuesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. weekly at talkradio.nyc.
you have an interest in marijuana, you want to know about marijuana, law, policy, and culture, then feel free to join me, Joseph A. Bondi, every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning on my show In the Know 420 on TalkingAlternative.com.
Realize the Earth to continue to resist the passage of this necessary legislation.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture, all the stuff that you love, and we do it right here.
That makes the girls run away.
Oh, well, clearly. No. That is completely false.
Stuff that makes the girls.
That is completely
I recommended
false.
Secrets of the Sire on my show, and I got less female listeners.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, it's our 100th episode spectacular. We got everything that you could possibly want. Party hats, beer, whiskey, Star Wars.
We're a double-sized comic book this evening.
We are a double-sized. We're
Mylar
a 48-pager?
Yes, we are a 48-pager.
Are we a chrome cover?
Yes.
Mylar
chrome cover.
Chrome hologram cover?
I can't say chrome cover.
Do you know what we are actually? Absolutely, though. We're on Amazon Alexa.
We are.
Look up Spreaker Podcast Radio Player on Amazon. Enable it on your Alexa device. Then Alexa open Spreaker. Alexa open Secrets of the Sire, and you can listen to us.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Download us off iHeartRadio. Just look up Secrets of the Sire on iHeartRadio, SIRE. Same thing with SoundCloud, Secrets of the Sire, Facebook, which is where we're streaming live. I love all the comments. I know Brian Everham hasn't seen the movie, which is really disappointing. Brian, I'm disappointed in you.
Don't say it, Brian.
Ed Villarreal has
Save your
joined
money.
us. Pat Shand is watching us, which I appreciate as well too. So we love you guys, and that's actually, we want to take a moment. It's our 100th episode. I want to thank all you guys. We got over 10,000 followers on our Facebook page, which is just like
I don't think
baffling.
Them. I'm not thanking them.
It's baffling to me.
You're thanking them.
I'm thanking them.
I'm taking them for granted.
We have a 5 out of 5 review on iTunes. So
wow,
please,
nice.
if you hate us, don't leave us a review.
Yes, stay away from the review.
Only leave us a review if you like what we do. No, look, we're here. We're trying to serve the fans. We're trying to do as much as we can, but we have you to thank, so we appreciate it. And now back to the punches. No, lot to get into. We have 2 more special guests coming up, but I want to introduce our next guest, who's here to talk Last Jedi. He was a previous guest. They're all previous guests. You see the theme I'm running here? It's like people who've been on before. How about that?
Right. Keep eating time.
Yeah. His name is Derek Becker. He is the host of the Comic Pros and Cons podcast. Mr. Derek Becker, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Mike. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing better than Hassan. Hassan's ready to throw chairs because he's very...
I'm all right, man. I'm zen, man.
You're zen? You're zen?
Yeah. As always.
This is the thing about this movie that I find so fascinating is...
that people like it.
That people like it, yes. No, but they really, they love it. There's no in-between. There's really no in-between. Like, even Brian was kind of like... I enjoyed it because it was fun, and I hear that. I hear a lot of people, but then I hear, I got Facebook posts. Kat Cahill is like, "This is the Star Wars movie you need. Like, you need to see this movie."
Well, based on what?
You fall into that category. You were a big fan of the movie. Give me your side. I want to hear it.
Yeah, no, I'm actually happy to piss on your pooping party here with all you haters on this. But no, for me, I don't know. I think overall, visually, I think it was one of the best movies that they've ever done.
Okay.
Especially when that third act on that salt planet was just insane.
I agree.
Here's the other thing. It was unexpected. Every other prequel and The Force Awakens was completely just you could see it coming a mile away.
Sure.
And I was fine with that, especially Force Awakens. I enjoyed the fact that I'd seen that movie before when it was episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with that. This, I I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I mean, there are things I could have done without. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't perfect. But little bits of symbolism, like Kylo Ren when he had that little cybernetic Band-Aid at the beginning, and then he's getting it fixed later on. It's reminiscent of Luke in that little cryo chamber after being on Hoth. But more importantly, I thought that was kind of a cool little analogy to the fact that, unlike Darth Vader, who he wants to be, he does not want to be more machine than man. He still wants to be man.
Okay.
And I found that to be interesting. And I've heard a lot of people bitching about, Luke when he's on that salt planet and, all the rockets and lasers and missiles and everything else are going around him, and then he brushes off his little shoulder, and people are like, that was just dumb. That was out of character for him. And to me, it wasn't. To me, it was him doing two things. One, he was goading Kylo Ren on to keep pushing while he created more time for everyone else to escape. But number two, he was selling his appearance, that he was actually physically there. And I think that was... There's little things that a lot of people are just looking past and not looking at the beauty of just the small, intricate details of this movie, where most other Star Wars movies haven't had them.
I'll say this.
And then on top of it, they actually took chances on this. They didn't play it safe, and I like that.
I'll say this. I thought the last act was the most engaging, the most riveting, the battle on the Salt Planet. Like I said, all this stuff, there was you can get caught up in it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I'm still, I don't think it's a good movie, but I think I was not like bored at that point, but that was the same feeling I got from like Attack of the Clones, which I think is the worst Star Wars movie. Like I sat through an hour and a half of like, oh my God. And then Yoda gets to fight. And I'm like, all right, I walked away with, again, this like candy feeling, like, all right, that was a chocolate bar. That was pretty good. Like that was a lollipop. I got a lollipop. I got something that I could walk away from feeling good about. You're comparing getting like a dum-dum lollipop to an entire like wagon full of candy on Halloween. As far as I'm concerned. I mean, that's apples and oranges, man. No. It was like a dum-dum. It was like a dum-dum. It really was for me. And look, this is the fun part, right? I mean, this is the fun part. We all get to just kind of enjoy it, soak it in. We all get to just, kind of have our own opinions about it. Last question, though. Did you see, you like The Force Awakens? I like The Force Awakens a lot. That gave me expectations for this movie where we were going to get some of these questions answered. It by no means you had no problem with not getting any of these questions answered from a storytelling point of view. From a storytelling point of view, J.J. Abrams to me now this is where Hassan and I disagree. I think he said, like, I know he used beat for beat Episode 4 to bridge this new cast of characters, but he ultimately presented characters that I wanted to learn more about, like Snoke, like Rey, like, all these people. You were okay with the fact that, no, Rian Johnson's like, I'm just going to piss all over this. Snoke, I don't like him. Let's get rid of him. Kylo, let's just speed all this stuff up. Like, were you okay with that?
Here's the way I look at it. I actually think that he followed the way that Star Wars has always been. I mean, you hear about Jabba the Hutt way early. I mean, you hear about it in the cantina in Episode 4, and when you see him, there's no explanation as to who he is. He's just some big fat slug. And that's it. He's powerful. That's it. That's all you need to know. You don't need a backstory for every character.
Oh,
so, am I okay with it? Yeah, exactly.
I thought you just said it was different.
The Star Wars, kind of set rules that have already been in place.
But if it was different, how could it be the same?
Well, hang on. Hassan had a good question for you then. Hassan had a good question. I'm going to cut. Yeah, no, there's like a half hour late.
Yeah. If it was different, then how could it be the same? Like if those are if you liked it because it was unique, but then when
I like because they took chances telling the story. As far as the characters are concerned, and having people come in and out, from that same aspect, there was no, I don't know, there's no backstory on Greedo.
But you didn't need any backstory on Greedo. Greedo was a bounty hunter. You didn't need a backstory on Jabba the Hutt because Jabba the Hutt was a gangster. It was they're archetypical. It was pretty straightforward. But if you're going to tell me that this other guy is he just rose out of the scenery after supposedly balance had been brought back to the universe, and he's got all these scars all over him, and that he's a significant force that was able to mentally corrupt, our main antagonist. And you kind of promise, all right, I'll explain a couple of things from them, but not this time. You'll have to get into the story to see it. That does require some kind of explanation of how that was done, or who that person was, and what makes this person different.
But I'll tell you what, I think that's a lot of Disney understanding the fact that they have comic books, and they have animated series, and they have video games, and they have novels and everything else in their expanded universe, that they can milk this thing for years to come.
Who's going to want to read about Snoke now that Snoke got terribly killed?
There's a whole Snoke fan club.
So that's Snoke fan
That's
club.
Priya's second favorite character. She goes bonkers for Kylo Ren.
Yeah, right.
And she's a big Snoke fan.
Right.
Hey, Derek,
Right.
you have an awesome podcast. Tell everyone about that, and thank you for jumping on for our 100th show.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. Congratulations on your 100th episode. I'm right behind you. January 3rd will be mine. So.
Very nice. I will...
But yeah, it's Comic Pros and Cons. You can find it at comicprosandcons.com. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, and pretty much any other podcast app out there. But the whole show is kind of set around celebrating the true superheroes of comic books, and that's the creators themselves and the people that make them. So
awesome.
I interview comic creators like yourself and other people, and find out why they do what they do, and kind of fill the inner fanboy of me who wants to know more of what goes on behind the scenes of making comics.
Awesome. Derek, thank you so much for jumping on and jumping into this Star Wars The Last Jedi conversation. We are barely... We still got a lot of time to talk about this, which is fantastic. So, Derek, thank you so much.
Thanks again, Mike, and congrats again, man. Cheers. I'll be listening to the rest of this online.
Awesome. Brian, Jack, what did you think about what Derek said? Is that kind of support? Like, so I like to see Jack is like the Kylo Ren here. You right? Like he's kind of he's going back and forth. Like, yeah, that makes you Ray.
I gotta go in the room and take some pictures.
You're Ray. Well, no wait. Yeah. Who would you'd be Snoke then? Yeah,
great.
You'd be definitely Snoke.
Yeah, wonderful.
Well, I like the fact that this Star Wars episode is apparently the Crystal Pepsi of the Star Wars universe. It's different, but it's the same.
And it's highly controversial.
Yeah.
Yes, the Crystal Pepsi is a controversy in of itself.
And I see what Hassan's talking about, because the first, episode 4, everything was very straight cut, forward, one scene led to another. There was no exaggerated extra scenes. It was, they found Luke, they found Ben, they found Kenobi. They were
no purposefully hidden secrets.
Exactly. They went to the Katina. Now, they had people with literal Halloween wolf masks.
Yeah.
But then they found Han. Then they found Alderaan got exploded. Then they got, but then between
like it does.
Yeah, between 5 and 6 though, there's months of backstory that we don't get. Now, Luke, all of a sudden, with nothing else, is now a Jedi Master.
Sure.
We want that story. And we have that in Extended Universe, although not any longer.
But you know what? I'm gonna say you actually bring a good point, though.
Yeah.
They establish enough in Episode 5, based on where he left off in Episode 4, where it's a plausible jump.
Correct. I think he means from 6 to 7.
Oh, but he's talking 4 to 5, 5 to 6.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Luke goes from, being, a novice farm boy in 4 to being a Jedi in training in Episode 5 to being a Jedi in Episode 6.
Yeah.
But that's a progression, right? That's a progression you saw him on.
Yeah.
And you could say, okay, I don't necessarily need to know what's in between there.
Yeah.
This episode takes place immediately after Force Awakens.
And they still have their ridiculous scenes, like Boba Fett, the master bounty hunter, who, again, no backstory, everyone's favorite character.
Sure.
But he's
dead because of a blind guy.
But he's a bounty hunter.
But he's a bounty hunter.
But dies in the most ridiculous way.
That's
You're a bounty
true.
hunter, hit by a blind guy, falls into a pit, gonzo. But now we have all this other stuff, but now there's these, we have to make these sci-fi flourishes, minus, however, the prequels, which it was like, look what we can do with CGI.
That's what I felt like with that, too.
And,
I did,
yeah.
too. I do. I agree with that. All right. When we come back, mystery guest number 2.
Still liked it.
And we are going to go into the biggest unanswered questions in The Last Jedi when we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth from Nourish the Soul, and on the show, you will uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to having a healthy relationship to food and your body. Join us every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Now in theaters, Beauty and the Beast is out, and there's big controversy with two because of the supposed gay relationship that takes place. You know,
and I thought the real controversy would be about the bestiality.
Bestiality is not a problem.
Oh yeah,
it's just homosexuality. We don't like that. Having sex with a giant beast, that's all right.
Secrets of the Sire.
Beer me.
Done.
Yeah, beer me.
Wow.
Secrets of the Sire, talking comics, movies, TV, drinking beer, because it's our 100th episode. Woo! Woo! Party hats.
Beer. Oh, yes.
That's what that smiley face thing in the back is supposed to be. If you're listening to us on
It keeps
iTunes,
falling down. It almost killed me.
We did some decorations for the show, so if you're listening to us on iTunes, that's kind of what's going on here. But now we are just rolling here. We've got so much going on. We got a lot of special guests because it's a big deal. Look, it's 100 episodes. We did 100 straight episodes. We will also be
and
back
a couple
here.
of crooked ones.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's very true. We will be back here tomorrow from 1 to 2 as part of the talkradio.nyc marathon. Go to the GoFundMe page, gofundme.com/talkradio.nyc marathon. They picked a really, really long URL for this. This is radio. It's not
Not television. It's not video.
It's not like a website where it's just very easy. Yeah, no.
Follow the link.
But no, go check that out because we're doing just some. Look, we're trying to upgrade. We're trying to do bigger and better. That's Hassan's?
Yeah, that's
okay. Oh, okay. You can drink out of my cup? Yeah. We just got mayhem going on here. All right. We are talking Last Jedi, and I love it. I love all the conversations we're having. I really do. And like Hassan is genuinely angry, and because
I am not angry.
No. You are, and it's okay.
No.
It's
Don't.
okay.
You're getting me wrong.
Okay.
I'm not angry because I didn't have any faith in it in the first place. Remember, I didn't like The Force Awakens. I went to see this out of curiosity or kind of, I don't know, maybe perhaps wish fulfillment that they couldn't possibly finish what they started with The Force Awakens.
So let me ask you a question before we bring on our next mystery guest.
Yes.
Oh, did I just drink Hassan's? I did.
See? That's what I said.
Yeah. Well, look, we're like co-hosts.
That's gross. I don't want that now.
All right, here, take that one.
No, I don't want anything.
Jack will drink it. Did you have a problem? And I'll throw this around the room. Did you have a problem with the liberal use of the Force in this movie?
Liberal use of the Force.
Because that's something that everyone keeps saying, like, hey, look at all the stuff, look at all the rules they're breaking when it comes to the Force.
Oh, boy.
And from me, just to give you some background, again, I'm not a Star Wars purist, like, I need the Force to act a certain way or do certain things. So I was actually okay with Leia flying through the air. I was okay with, like Mary Poppins. Brian, no?
That was one of my biggest problems, where they've clued you in the past that she is one with the Force.
But
where'd she learn to use it?
There's a hair in there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
What kind of hair?
It's a hair. I don't know.
Right.
Jack, Jesus.
She got decompressed though. That kills people.
Well, instantly. But how did she instantly learn to go like this and she could Quidditch her way back?
See, now wait.
Brian, that would be the question.
Well, and
but
they
that's
open the door and
but
they
that's
get sucked into the
one of the
side,
things
Brian.
where I sat there and said, I'm okay with this because there's story we missed, but we established that Leia could possibly be a Jedi because it was established in one of the previous
But Jedis don't decompress. Jedi's a human.
It does. Take a
Jedis are
couple
human. They
seconds
can
to decompress.
They can.
Oh, Jack's spouting science knowledge. That Ryan Johnson is
From
clearly
what I understand, decompression. I mean, yes, she decompressed, but it also takes a little while for it. Like you saw her freezing over.
Yes. You know what? You know what you have to do in order for that to not happen.
You had to Jedi your way back to the ship.
you have to. You have to exhale because of the air in your lungs will explode.
As a diver, I should have known that.
Ryan Johnson is Ryan Johnson is a scientician.
But he
knows
just admitted I was right.
everything.
He just admitted I was right. Can
we get Michio Kaku
the
on
last
the phone?
second you saw her before she got sucked into space does not look like she exhaled.
Do you know who else is a scientician? Mr. Pat Shand, who is joining us right now. Mr. Pat Shand, one of our beloved guests. How's it going, Pat?
What's going on?
It's going good. It's going good. It's exciting.
Happy 100.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You've been. This is like your 5th appearance, so you're there for like 5% of the shows. 5%.
Indeed. And I do want to say I'm coming on here to celebrate your 100th episode by reminding you guys that I am always right and you might be always wrong.
Uh-oh. I like hearing this.
He's obviously only talking to you, but I understand that. It's good. It's good.
Go ahead. Why is Hassan wrong and you're right?
I'm not sure if you remember this conversation. It could have been on air. It could have been in the hot box where we wait before we go on air. But
Someone else admitted it.
It's extremely hot.
Someone else admitted it.
Someone else.
Everybody tells me that I'm being a baby about complaining about the heat.
Yeah. It's actually nice right now, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, whatever.
So listen. I told you guys that Kylo Ren is going to be the big bad. Snoke isn't the big bad. It's Kylo Ren. I haven't seen The Last Jedi, but I know what
Wait,
happens.
Pat, I gotta cut you off for 2 seconds. Scream into your phone. No, we just can't hear. We can't hear you very well. Scream into your phone. Oh, there we go. Much better. No, seriously, I didn't mean to cut you off from your point, but we gotta hear you better.
You gotta speak louder.
Cool.
Just tell him to speak louder. Are you still gone? You can't say speak louder.
I'm right here.
No, you're not. You're someplace else.
After The Force Awakens, you guys, I told you that Kylo Ren is going to be the main villain of the whole trilogy.
Yeah.
You said, no way. It's going to be Snoke. I said Snoke is boring.
I don't know why I said that.
I'm not sure if I can curse. I totally forget. No one cares about Snoke, right? Snoke is one of those guys that's like, I'm evil for evil's sake. I'm ultimate evil. I represent evil. Kylo is a modern kind of villain. We're like in Loki territory here, where villains, to be engaging in the modern era, have to have some depth, right? Told you guys it was going to be Kylo. You told me I was wrong. I'm just saying.
I didn't say you were wrong because I didn't care one way or the
But
other.
I'm always right.
So what you're saying is, when Sam said that Snoke was going to be the major villain, and we both were like, no, that's clearly not
obviously
the
not.
case.
Sam, just stick to engineering, Sam.
Sam let us down.
No
again.
predictions.
So, Pat,
people get thrown under the bus all the time.
There was some hate right there. I was like, do you even see that bus
People
coming?
get destroyed here.
Pat, one of the reasons we have you on the show is because you are a prolific comic book creator. Tell the audience out there all the stuff you're doing and where they can find you.
All right. So right now, I just announced some stuff coming out in March. I have a new creator-owned book called Breathless. It is a healthcare horror coming out from Black Mask. That's March. It's going to run 4 issues. I have Cross Plus 100 from Avatar Press. It returns. It is the Alan Moore version of Garth Ennis' creation. I'm doing short backups in those issues based on Alan Moore's notes.
Wow.
That's dropping this March. And also, I have a new podcast as well. So maybe you guys can come on and mess with me, too.
right.
It's called the Space Between Podcast. We're on SoundCloud.
It's called Size of the Secret. Hey, wait a minute.
What's this maybe we're speaking of? Yeah, we're damn right you're coming on.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Good.
Pat, that's awesome. You make
Happy 100, you guys.
you make us extremely jealous of all the good comic book work you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work, and we'll have you in studio in 2018 for sure.
Awesome.
That was Mr. Pat Shand,
but
proving once again it was.
Sam is wrong.
That Sam is wrong. Like, why would Sam do that?
He didn't say how long it would take to decompress, though. That was the one thing I was reading.
Oh, you're waiting for the decompression.
Never pay attention to any of.
I don't actually know the
Never pay attention to any of Dolce's segues. They don't really amount to much.
And my segments are fantastic.
Segues.
Oh, segues. Yeah, they're horrible.
Yeah.
They're absolutely horrible.
If you got out your phone, you can have Siri answer that question.
Yeah.
All right. So before we bring on,
before
we go to commercial, and before we bring on our next guest, who hopefully will remember to call in, which is really good. He's our super surprise guest tonight.
Super surprise.
It's surprises left and right.
Surprise.
I wanted to start with this, right? So on Looper.com, first of all, Looper.com is actually a great segue into our later segment that we're going to do, which is called Bait and Pitch. I really am.
Beaming over there.
It was supposed to be the masturbator, but it didn't work. Looper.com is a site full of clickbait headlines.
Yes.
However, they did have an article that said the biggest unanswered questions from The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those I thought was actually pretty interesting. I mean, and again, this is going back to the original argument.
Make Brian explain all of these.
No, this is good. I think he can do this one. There's a lot of stuff that we can enjoy, and there's a lot of stuff that we can, just from a movie point of view, we can enjoy. So one of the questions, were Snoke's guards actually Luke's other students? When we come back. Hopefully Fabian... Well, I told Fabian to call in at 8, so...
The answer to that is no.
I already know the answer.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you go. When we come back.
No, they're not, though. The Knights of Ren?
Yeah.
But they're not.
The students were the Knights of Ren? It's a whole separate order, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
the
students that he stole were the Knights of Ren.
That's what I thought. That's what I was going to say. Now the guards were probably just...
Yeah, those are guys.
Trained.
Not so highly trained apparently.
Well, I mean,
no.
Pretty decent. Let's get. But also,
Rey doesn't know how to use a lightsaber.
I know.
She crushed them.
Yes.
You know, it was a beautiful scene, but
my friend James is like, Kylo's not trained either. He's just thrashing like my 3-year-old.
They seem to remember that on occasion, because occasionally you'll see Daisy Ridley swing wild. Yeah. Where there's no one near her, she's just swinging for the fences.
Mm-hmm.
But then every now and then she pulls off some elegant move that totally crushes someone. I'm like, wait a minute.
I've taken martial arts for about 10 years. You put me in the ring with somebody who's actually done it, I will get my ass kicked. I don't know, like a 12-year-old who's been doing this will kick the crap.
That's one of my biggest problems with Stranger Things. I had the same problem with. So you have 11 who can't figure out how to live life normally, but she can figure out mass transit schedules to get from wherever she is to Chicago to over here.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I defended that until I thought about it later, and I was like,
she could have just asked, "How do I get here?" They say, "Buy this ticket," then you go here, go there.
And usually my moments of elevation is or illumination or go from that's bullshit. It's just really like while walking to the train. Oh shit, that is bullshit. I'm sorry to everybody. And it's usually after I've blazed someone for being stupid. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm wrong about that. I'm dead wrong about everything I've said.
Oh, I thought there was a drop going on there.
Not my whole life.
No drop this time.
No, man, we're out of our comfort zone.
I know. We're usually done. That's usually a show. Yeah. Like, isn't that fun? Isn't it amazing how fast that goes usually? Like, that should be the end. No. Usually we're on for an hour.
Because when
that would have been the end of the show.
Something I haven't watched yet. Like when you'll do we're doing Punisher tonight. Like haven't watched. Punisher.
I'm on episode 6, by the way.
Watch the show on mute.
On mute. You'll just watch him.
Every once in a while, I'll bring up the volume and be like, and then down.
Well, we haven't talked about Punisher because he hasn't finished watching it.
Episode 6.
I think I'm about that far, and then actually lost interest, and now I have to watch it on my own at some point.
Yeah, it's got my typical issues with it, but
you gotta have enough juice.
I'm gonna let that charge until Fabian calls in. Hopefully, he calls in.
Yep, there he is.
Oh, good.
Awesome. That works.
That's convenient. I was down low battery.
Okay, I'll put you in the system. Hold on a minute. They're done. Come back from break.
The next hour.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Deja vu.
It's like the weirdest feeling right now because we are back again. Now this is our normal time, but we actually started an hour earlier. We cycled through all of our music.
Yeah, we did. We're not going to be original with our
music's gone, sweepers.
Yeah. All right, we're Secrets of the Sire.
We need to write some new music. That's what that means.
I got some other stuff. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. So thank you for everyone joining us who would normally join us on this night. But we have a special
everybody
night.
else who's wondering, who just joined us now, we started at 7.
And we've been drinking since then.
Yeah, we have. And we're doing 2 hours because this is our
100th episode spectacular. You can't see it up there, but
so it's not actually my 100th
it says 100
show,
actually, right
but
there.
this is Mike Dolce's 100th show.
That's actually true. That's a good point.
Yeah. So
get out of my studio.
Congratulations. I'm leaving. There's too many Last Jedi lovers here.
So we are talking Last Jedi. We've had some amazing guests. We had Priya, which was a surprise guest, who is another radio host on talkradio.nyc, where you can stream us.
Which was awesome. Thank you.
Which was really awesome for her to call in. We had Derek Becker from Comic Pros and Cons, who is another awesome guy, and I've been on his show. He's got an amazing podcast. Go download it. We had Mr. Pat Shan. Once again, siding with us against Sam, which I don't know why he keeps doing that, but he did. It just is what it is.
Sam will get it together one day.
You know, so we want to thank all of our guests. And now we have our last surprise mystery guest.
Surprise.
Our surprise? Our surprise mystery guest. And we saved the best for last. Probably. Here's Mr. Fabian Nicieza, co-creator of Deadpool. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you? Congratulations, Mike, on your 100th show, and Hassan on your 83rd, I think it is.
Oh, wow. Yes.
He listens more than I do.
It's mine.
All you need to do is, like, just club Mike before a few shows, and you'll catch up.
I can go down with injury very easily.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very brittle.
You've got to be put on injured reserve.
Right. Hamstring.
I'm a brittle guy.
If he doesn't stop talking, he's going to get a tongue sprain or something.
No comment.
There's so many dirty jokes that just ran through my mind.
Oh boy!
But this is a family show. It's not.
No,
really
it's not.
The Manson family show.
So, Fabian, before we get into Last Jedi, you had one of the most memorable turns as our guest on the show. For anybody who hasn't caught up, go to, I think it's episode 53 or 54. I think it's 53.
I think it's like my 3rd episode.
It was your 3rd episode.
Yeah.
We asked you one question, and you took up the entire interview time answering that one question.
Which was awesome.
How does that feel to be the most memorable guest we've had?
You're lucky that you didn't ask me 2 questions because that would have been a 4-day podcast. Well, there you go.
That would have been our first ever 2-hour show. We've been like, Sam,
an hour we're not on the air.
We are not turning Fabian off. We're not turning him off.
We literally would have been packing up, and Fabian just would have been talking like the entire time.
How are you doing today? You can ask me for 6 hours. It's no problem.
So, I'm going to ask you some Deadpool stuff after this, but I want to know, what's your take on Last Jedi?
Well, I am an avowed and admitted non-fan of the movie franchise.
Okay.
I have not seen a what I would consider a good Star Wars movie since about 1981.
Nice. Nice.
The franchise lost me as a devout follower. The second Boba Fett got swallowed by a giant sand vagina at the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
Best bottomless pit, by the way. Best bottomless pit.
And then from that point on, from the moment of the sand vagina, they lost me as an acolyte. And I loved Star Wars. I saw it in the theater when I was like 15 years old, and I loved Empire Strikes Back. But that was not that
was hard on a lot of people.
I've seen every single movie in the theater, so it's not like I don't follow the movie franchise. I don't pay attention to the TV shows and all that. But I feel almost every single movie has been a C or lower for me since Return of the Jedi. To that effect, I gave the last one was a C+. So the last hour of the movie really entertained me, and that got the plus out of me. I thought that was from the moment. Are we allowed to give spoilers? If we're
we've been drinking, so just spoil away.
From the moment that Rey and Kylo came together in the movie physically, as opposed to
Sure.
the BS mumbo jumbo force crap that they never define ever. Once that happened, I thought the movie really picked up steam and was enjoyable. I will be honest, and I fell asleep twice in the first 90 minutes of that movie.
Yeah, it's a
I don't disagree with
and
that.
it's not because I'm an old man, and it's not because I hadn't slept the night before. It also happened to me during Force Awakens. There's clearly something about the way these movies are paced and structured and presented to me that are not appealing to me. And that's not even counting the second Lucas trilogy, which it is what it is. These new movies just don't work for me for a wide variety of reasons. The franchise doesn't work for me for a wide variety of reasons. All that being said, I really enjoyed the last hour. It became fun and interesting in a way that the first 90 minutes of the movie weren't for me.
We had a guest on one time who actually wrote like a thesis about Star Wars, comparing it to like the millennial generation. I felt like this was one of the most millennial movies in terms of if you fit that definition, right?
Someone actually made a comment about that. Pointed out that especially even at the end, the fact that Luke used an avatar, he didn't actually go himself. that was very millennial, Like he didn't even show up to his own event, to his own party,
Just FaceTimed it in.
Yeah, he did. He phoned it in. He totally phoned that last fight in.
But Fabian, you make a great point, though, right? There is a certain pacing to this movie that did not feel like a Star Wars movie. I don't fault it for doing that, but it's very noticeable, right?
I don't know. I got it, Mike. I don't know if it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me. My problem is I probably thought it felt too much like a Star Wars movie.
Ah, okay.
One of my big problems I have with the franchise is that there's so much that's not explained. There's so much that's left open to interpretation, and that's not just for character motivation or anything like that. I'm talking basic spatial geography, right? You have no idea where anything is in relation to each other, how long it takes to get there. Mm-hmm. The movie spent 2.5 hours of one ship chasing another ship. And in the meantime, someone was able to leave one of those ships, go to another planet, have an adventure, come all the way back again.
A stampede.
Somebody was able to leave, a beautiful island in Ireland, and fly all the way back to those chasing ships. It's nonsensical to me. I watch it and I get bored because it feels like there's no sense of control over what they're presenting you, and they're just asking you to buy it. Not the least of which is the Force. If you just watch the movies alone, try to explain what the hell the Force is to me. I'm sure that it was explained at some point in that middle trilogy that Lucas did, but I haven't seen any of those movies again since I originally watched them, so my brain is fried about it. I'm not the best guy to talk about Star Wars details. I'm just a guy to talk to who'll complain about whatever the current movie is.
We'll take that. We'll take a complaint.
So let's switch gears for a split second here, and we're going to have you back on again in June when the movie comes out. But you are besides Rob Liefeld, the definitive Deadpool expert, having co-created the character. What did you feel when you heard Josh Brolin was going to be assuming the role of Cable? That was one of your babies. That was actually my favorite series that you wrote, was the original Cable series with John Romita Jr. So what's it like?
As the person who has written Cable more than anyone else on the planet has, I'll keep using that tagline while it's still relevant.
Milk it, baby, just like Luke milked that alien.
I was very pleasantly surprised. He was not on my radar for the part. But I also didn't have many people on my radar for the part because I think it's a very, very difficult role to cast.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a really good actor and has been in a lot of roles. But I think he'll bring the required gravitas, the required amount of weariness and toughness to the role. I'm curious to see what they do. I haven't seen a script. The last time I talked to any of the guys who were involved in the production was, way back after the first movie came out. We had a whole bunch of back and forths as they were trying to break. They were planning to start breaking down the second movie back then, and we had a whole bunch of back and forth conversations, and then that was it. They go off and they write their movie. I never asked to see the script, and so I haven't seen it, so I don't know how they're handling the character. I'd be very, very curious, having invested as much into the character as I have. I'm very interested to see if they're able to tap into what I perceive of as Cable's strengths, and I'm expecting they will, because they're good at what they do, and they did such a great job with the first movie that I'm hoping that they get it. I'm hoping that they understand, the strengths of the dynamic.
It's interesting you say that, though, right? I mean, because Cable as a character is so ingrained in the X-Men lore, but the X-Men movies kind of have their own timeline, their own continuity now. What version of Cable do you think we're going to see? I mean, he's not going to be ingrained.
I honestly, look, if it were me doing it, and they asked me my thoughts and recommendations, and I gave it to them. How they handle it, I don't know. But if it were me doing it, we would see roughly the Cable that we saw in the miniseries I did with JR, with John Romita Jr., because it's a Cable who has not been here that long, is more of a mercenary and not a mutant soldier, for peace or blah, blah, blah. Not a leader of a bunch of kids he's going to turn into a fighting force. I think that's where they're going to go. I think that part of the aspects of this entire movie, which is one of the challenges of the sequel to begin with, is that they're setting up an X-Force franchise. If they're going to set up an X-Force franchise, then they have to lay the seeds, sow the seeds and the foundation for young mutants that he is going to lead, right? And that means that you not only have to introduce the character, you also have to plan and set up his next status quo.
Okay.
So I think that if they take elements of that JR miniseries I did, and they take elements of the relationship approach that I tried to take in the Cable and Deadpool monthly book, then I think they're golden. How can they screw that up? Just do what I did. Just follow me. They'll be fine.
Well, now Disney owns them, so you never know. Fabian, thank you so much for joining us on our 100th episode. I really appreciate it. It was a last minute phone call.
Being on the 137th show.
Yes.
Hopefully the 213th show. Okay?
That'll be the 138th episode spectacular. Fabian Nicieza, co-creator Deadpool, thank you again so much. All right, when we come back, Jack and Brian are going to give us the answers to the unanswered questions in Star Wars.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday, 9 to 10 Eastern Time, and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential. Live life your way on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo! What's that?
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
vision for the film and decided to part ways.
Yeah, that's one of those things where these guys showed up really late to this meeting. And
found a hand grenade in a school, in the wall. It had been there for like 30 years.
I don't even know how to segue, but I'm thinking, like, what is the going market for weed?
Going hot.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Talkradio.nyc and streaming live, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. One last time, I want to thank
everybody.
Priya for calling in unexpectedly, which was awesome.
Thank tons of people.
Derek Becker for calling in from Comics Pros and Cons. Pat Shan, prolific writer. He's got a lot of Kickstarter things going on. He's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And then our mystery, our final surprise mystery guest, which was Fabian Nicieza. Yeah. I want to thank our two in-studio guests, Mr. Brian Phillips and Mr. Jack O'Donnell.
Hello.
Yeah.
Howdy.
Brian thought the studio would be bigger. But to be fair, it's never had this many people in it. So
that's true.
You know.
Well, it's deceiving because I've watched it on the live feed.
Yeah.
I've watched the pre-show green room,
and
like it feels a lot bigger when you look at it. But I also feel like it's kind of like a football or wrestling thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
you watch football on TV, you're like, that field is so large. You get there and you're like, where's the rest of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're on the whole field. I've seen it on TV. They only stand on the side.
Oh yeah. No, and I do a nice little panoramic with the video.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm Irish. I never played anything up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. I don't know how to segue out of that one. I got nothing. I got nothing.
Ain't going there.
I got nothing.
We'll be all right.
No more whiskey for Jack.
We were until we get to the ride home. We were talking Star Wars: Last Jedi.
But we did want to talk about the unanswered questions, and I want to turn this over to our guests to kind of give us their take on this.
There are many.
Oh no.
Well, no, just two now. Oh, unanswered questions. Oh,
come on, man!
I thought you meant guests.
Put the beer away.
We had lots. Well, we did have lots of guests. See, this is how we turn. This is how we turn on each other. See, we started out the show. If you caught us at 7,
I was always against
you. They were allied at first.
Brian, were Snoke's guards actually Luke's other students?
No.
Why not?
Because doesn't. Oh, great! Yeah, now I'm going to be on camera too.
Where's your party at?
I'm pretty sure it says low battery.
It's okay. It's good.
Low battery.
We're good. We got juice.
Doesn't Ren he kills all of the other Jedi kids, doesn't he?
No. He took some with him.
He took some with him.
That was explained in the movie.
Yeah,
all right, Jack.
No, I don't believe that would have been because, I mean, granted, he did throw a lot of story elements out. I don't know if we're going to learn what happened to those other people. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, Snoke got smoked really quickly. But
the fandom was split.
I think they're just going to completely drop that. I think they aren't even, we got...
Well, okay, wait. Now, that
never happened.
Charging horse creatures were not...
But that's a great thing that you said, right? They're going to just drop that. Yeah. Why are they going to drop all this stuff? Like, they establish all this stuff.
I mean, they shouldn't.
So they can make a side...
But why?
Because they don't have any imagination.
Because I think, and turning fully onto the dark side, is that it wasn't particularly excellent storytelling throughout the whole thing. There were definitely elements that should have been touched on more, left out.
If this was a third chapter, everything makes total sense, right? Snoke dies because, well, we're done with him now. I mean, I guess in a way, Derek Becker was saying we're done with him in the second movie too, or Pat Shan was saying that. We're done with him. He doesn't need to be. Kylo Ren needs to be the villain of the trilogy. Okay, I get that, but they go through all this trouble to establish these villains and characters and heroes and alliances, and then they just do nothing with them.
But what establishment have they made with Snoke? He hasn't done anything. You've seen him as a hologram, and then you've seen him sitting in a chair in a room. If you go 3 movies, you're going to end up with the same thing you had with Vader, where he's this super bad guy, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. There's a higher bad guy, and we killed him in the last 20 minutes of the last movie that he's ever involved in.
Yeah.
But I mean, they demonstrate that higher bad guy's power for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I think another issue though was Darth Sidious. I mean, granted, we got a lot of his backstory in the prequels, but he was the big bad. He's been pushing the dark side, the Empire. Now it's been, 30 years, 20 years, something like that, maybe a little bit longer.
Right.
And Snoke was clearly out there before or during Dark Sidious. And he's got powers that clearly are even beyond Darth Sidious's.
Yeah.
And he was just hanging out in, Cancun during all this.
To be
why wasn't
fair,
he the
it's
top
a great place to hang out. If you're going to hang out,
He had that awesome smoking jacket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with that face, that gold lace.
Yeah,
actually, it kind of looked like he should have been at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, he does.
Exactly.
He totally Hugh Heftered the last few minutes of his life.
There was a theory.
Burn warrant.
There was a theory that Snoke was actually Mace Windu.
There were a lot of theories. Now, it would have been cool if they tied one of those, because frankly, now that we've seen what stories they didn't play, giving us something would have been better than what they did.
Yeah.
We all saw it coming at that scene. Like, they couldn't possibly nuke him here. We've got so much story to tell. And
so many people were actually really excited about that, though. The fact that it threw everything off balance.
And that was fun.
You didn't earn it. Like it's another one.
But
of
that's
those
I agree with that.
It's like it's like The Walking Dead. It's like you're just killing people just so you can.
Yeah.
You just, I remember what I said last week. They're just going to kill people because it's the only emotional beat they know how to play.
Right.
Yeah. So they're probably going to kill Luke, and they're probably. I did not know that about Snoke and poor Admiral Akbar and a whole bunch of other people. I didn't know about them.
To be fair, Admiral Akbar lasted pretty long.
No, come on. Right? Shouldn't it have been...
for a fish man, he's been around for a while. You could hire him at Petco.
He should have been at Red Lobster.
They probably got rid of him because it's like, dude, you're kicking, dude.
It is no longer a trap.
Wouldn't you have had that last scene with Holdo, the Laura Dern?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been better if it was Admiral Akbar? Or even Leia? Wouldn't that have been an emotional beat? That would have been a great send-off for Princess Leia.
You mean a great time to kill the girl who's actually dead?
That's what I'm saying.
They killed all the people who were still alive?
Yeah. And you
Mark Hamill's still alive.
You're setting up you're setting up Laura Dern, and you set her up, and you're while you're watching it, you're like, all right, she could probably step in for Carrie Fisher. And then you kill her, and you leave Carrie Fisher alive, and you had enough time. You had a year to fix that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
And it would have, if she sacrificed herself, that would have been an honorable way for her character to go out, and everybody would have accepted it. I'm not necessarily sure getting sucked into space would have worked, even though when it happened, I was like, all right, or I guess, in this incarnation. But if she had gone out like that. Think how you thought that was a wonderful visual in and of itself, and you didn't even like the movie,
right?
So think how you would have felt if you actually had an emotional connection to a character.
I absolutely agree. There was no emotional connection to the characters. My dad walked out, and my dad is not a movie critic by any stretch of the imagination. He's like, there was no character development in that.
There was nothing.
Like to hear that, it's like, okay, there
were some things that were so infuriating. Like they realized that the First Order or whatever had drawn a bead on all those little ships. So she decides that she's going to turn the ship around. It takes like 5 more ships to get destroyed before she decides to ram them.
Right. Yeah, I know.
What are you doing? What were you doing that whole time? She
was busy not telling Poe the plan.
No, and I thought, just going back to that immediately, I was like, oh, well, she's going to clearly block their exit with the shields they've got. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, there's one guy left. They're going to now decide this master plan.
In fairness, she had to go to the water cooler first. Okay, she had to get a little. She was parched.
Yeah,
and, she had to reset, and then she figured, all right, I'll just ram it.
Yeah. But I mean, put it up on Facebook. Goodbye to my loved ones.
Take a selfie.
Message. One last selfie with the big ship in the background.
But I mean, absolutely, there's got to be some sort of like Star Wars Facebook too, right? Like, there's got to be some sort of like Star Wars internet. Like the one Leia was trying to reach out to at the end, and she's like, no one's liking my page right now.
Exactly. New net neutrality.
No one's reading my story right now.
Yeah.
No, but I mean Leia's Leia's reputation, it carries a lot of weight around. Yeah. Oh, no.
I've got zero likes on Instagram. I'm taking this shit.
They're like,
into that one.
Leia who? Jack, what were you going to say?
No, but I mean, it would have been perfect. I mean, the whole thing, they could have cut out the whole Mary Poppins scene, had her in an alternate corridor during the rest of everyone getting blown out into space. Then this new general who we don't know. She's cool. She's got the purple hair. We're starting to dig her.
Yeah.
And then...
Boom.
Completely irrational sacrifice when Carrie
Only
Fisher...
beat that they know how to
Carrie
play.
Fisher did 0 for the rest of the movie, beside a couple of those new Force brother-sister things.
In the original series, they hadn't killed anyone except for Obi-Wan.
Right.
All the way up to episode 3.
Yeah.
So you have two things going for you now. Huh?
Yoda,
Yoda all the way,
episode 6,
all the way
at 900
whatever.
years.
I
know what you meant.
Episode
I know what
3
you
at
meant,
the
but
time.
yes.
Yoda died in episode 3. They didn't kill anybody until episode 3, or episode 6, whatever. So when Yoda dies, and they start, and people start they start the roll call off. You're like, wait a minute, you know. And as a kid growing up with it, these characters are pretty much immortal to you,
right?
You know, it's like nothing's going to happen to them. I'm worried that they're not going to accomplish what they need to get accomplished, but nothing's going to happen to these characters. So now when suddenly they start disappearing, you start to worry, like, well, wait a minute, what could happen? I remember at the last scene when Luke attacks Vader. And in the Death Star chamber, I was terrified. You know, inexplicably. I don't think I've been that. There've been actual situations where I've been in genuine danger. I haven't been as afraid as I was at that point. So, if in the now times the only emotional beat you play is killing people off, you stop caring. Yeah. You're like, I don't really.
Well, let me ask you another thing that you
dies.
stop caring about, right? And there was a great review. It was on the National website. I was reading a whole bunch of reviews. I wanted to read why people loved it and why people hated it, or why people had mixed emotions about it.
There goes
Second
the second
back
one.
down. We knew it was going to happen. Let's go to commercial.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Okay.
Until next time you're on the show.
I mean, how poetic would it have been if it was Carrie Fisher in that seat, going at light speed, destroying the ship in the way she warned Han not to do in the last installment when he flew into the Star Killer
plug, huh?
or out
Yeah, it's
of.
Android.
I'm gonna borrow this a second here.
You know what I mean? Like,
If he had genuinely told her what the plan was.
Yeah.
But if you recall, in that movie, she says, "How are you going to get through the shield?" And he said, "You're not going to like it, so I'm not going to tell you." But that would have totally worked. That would have been
It was a lot better, you know.
Or they could have had a conversation about it because it was right after.
Yeah.
And she could have that could have been the lead into that, where they found out, okay, well, how did you get through the shields in the first place? And he went through lights, you know.
Yeah.
He went through. First of all, like the whole idea of going through shields.
You know, it's funny. It does drain my battery almost
down
to
I was like,
20%.
well, why didn't we do that?
Usually
All those other times we had to get by a shield.
Why isn't that your
So I've been kind of like going in and
Yeah,
out.
send one of the small guys in a light speed, just blow them up. We don't care, one dude.
That was.
Kamikaze,
There's
man.
one point. There was a hair in that, man.
Wait, in this one?
No, in my cup. In that cup that you just poured into your
Whatever.
cup.
What are you gonna do?
All right,
Alcohol will
then.
kill it.
Yeah, go ahead.
They'll sterilize it.
This. Uh-oh. I don't even remember half of these. Oh.
Let's go. I don't know what it... Do me a favor, guys. Just speak up because at times I'm taking you in and out of the actual mic feed.
Sounds good.
Just to charge my phone, which is
speak up in the room.
yeah. You don't necessarily. You don't have to be like in front of the mic to do it. Just gotta.
Fortunately, they're hearing all that, right?
Hmm?
Yeah. They're hearing all of what you just said.
What are you gonna do?
Going hot.
Now we're back.
Yeah, now we're back.
Oh, stolen!
I do that.
That was cray cray. All right, that was cray cray. All right, welcome back, Seekers of the Sire. 2-hour episode. We're just having fun. You know, it's the end of the year too.
Here's my one stupid question before you start. Like you start all the way and
Yeah.
with these questions. At the beginning of the movie, like what's his name, Hux is there, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna destroy the resistance, and we'll finally wipe them out of the galaxy." Blah, blah. And then the technician says, we have something on our radar scope, right? And he looks down, and he goes, "It's a single fighter, right?" And he's gonna whatever. Fair enough. The first Death Star, the second Death Star, Star Killer Base, all destroyed by X-Wings. When is the Empire going to be like, we should worry about whenever one or two of these little things just show up?
It's just one.
It's not, it's inconsequential. They always think it's inconsequential.
Right.
And it always shows up, sneaks within, into the infrastructure of whatever monstrosity they've built, destroys everything, and they lost the Dreadnought. Yeah.
I mean,
they lost the two Death Stars, the Star Killer Base, the Dreadnought. When are they going to start worrying about seeing a single X-Wing on their radar?
We have aircraft carriers now that can shoot a Hornet out of the sky with automated defenses. And you're telling me big ship without the use of crappy TIE fighters.
They still do not make fast turbo lasers. They do not make. Remember, that was the problem with the original
be
Death Star.
fair, with the First Order tax cut, there was some defunding of the military budget. The military budget didn't quite go right.
Sire is going to be able to do this for me. Take out that drone.
I'm like, wait a minute! For a fact that's an X-wing with the best pilot in the galaxy in there. What are you doing?
I wanna take this moment to acknowledge all the people that got us to our 100th show, which is good. Christina Dolce chimed in, taking a page from my boy George R.R. Like this character? Dead.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Chris Kotsakis. Oh, I just butchered that name. Sorry, we've been drinking.
Yes, you did. Yes,
he says calamari is best served old.
Oh, hidden space.
That's a trap. That's a trap. It's a trap. We like that.
It's
though,
even
too.
better when they've been floating in space for a while.
Ashley Haikai is actually on watching. Our beloved patron. We love her as well.
She can tell you how to pronounce her last name.
I know how to pronounce it.
Casey, I'm married to her.
I know, but it's Haikai.
I tried.
Brian's helping us out.
I tried to get you.
This is what happens when we go 2 hours. Everyone's like, "Oh, you guys should be 2 hours long," and we're like, "No." Do you know how much work this is? My wife is like, "You get a total break when you get to enjoy do so." I'm like, "Honey, it's a lot of work. I gotta drink and like
I gotta drink. I gotta open a bottle. I gotta. Pour.
I gotta be semi-coherent."
Trying to get that. We've been pouring all the drinks.
But what if you weren't here?
Why do you think I invited you guys on the show?
There's maybe an Aaron one.
All right, Jack. You said you had a point about Last Jedi before I get into the national review, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it would be more poignant for. Now I have to remember my point.
Was
but,
Carrie Fisher,
Leia being the sacrificial one to go through Lightspeed, destroy the large ship, destroy Snoke's ship and everything, because that was what Han was being warned not to do, or that was in The Force Awakens a risk he was willing to take to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a great send-off where now she was that sacrificial person.
Sure.
Led that, fueled that spark that she did this, destroyed it, because it was such a beautiful scene, like you were saying.
It really was. Even for me, who didn't like the movie
exactly.
at all.
Like, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Nice.
I literally lost my breath in taking...
Yeah. And it was manipulative. They manipulated you into thinking it was grander than it actually was by taking the sound out. Which is
but again,
antithetical to
a lot of great. There was some candy in this movie.
Yeah,
there was things you take away.
The fight with Kylo and Rey and the Royal Guards, the Praetorian Guards. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was completely unearned. It didn't make any sense. It was asinine in a lot of ways, but it was a beautiful scene.
I agree with Fabian, and I said it before Fabian came on, though. The last half hour of the movie was really good.
It was only good. It was only compelling because characters were actually running into each other.
Oh, I agree.
They were interacting with each other and doing things that actually had consequences.
Yeah.
But the whole film was consequence free up until then, because
isn't it amazing?
Isn't it amazing? His entire fleet killed by disobeying orders.
Yeah.
And Leia smacked him in the face and said, "You're demoted one rank."
Yeah.
He literally got 30
Sure.
people killed.
Sure.
Very easily.
Yeah.
For no reason, because they all could have got away.
Yeah.
Also, in your defense, got bombers destroyed, which dropped bombs
Yeah.
in space.
In space, yeah.
They could have been missiles
They could have been-
and been fine.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
They dropped
They
that
dropped bombs
in space.
They, like people have said that, but you could technologically you could say when there were mines, they were magnetized. You could say anything about that. They were. I mean,
Isn't
in
it
Star Wars, she was just
amazing,
standing
though?
there exposed to space, dropping bombs out of the.
Isn't
bottom
it
of the-
amazing though? It's amazing that in a what is supposed to be a high stakes chase, nothing happens for a long time. And meanwhile they could have taken that time to establish more of why we need to care about all this stuff. But they didn't really do that. Luke doesn't even train Rey. We don't get and look, and that's one of the unanswered questions. And I'll give you an unanswered question for Brian to answer here. Ready? Do we believe Kylo Ren that Rey it just comes from no one? That her parents were drunkards or whatever the case is?
I would say no.
Yeah, you go yes or no.
I'd say no.
Right?
I'd say no. I'd say he's trying to put her down so he can bring her down to a level where he can get her to come to the dark side with him.
Sure.
Now, if they do that in the next movie, everyone's going to say, "Oh, that's because of the backlash they got to us."
I know.
The way they punched
I
that
agree.
out. Why, if her parents were nobodies, start with that. Your parents are nobody, you're nobody,
Mhm.
and then suddenly she's got these powers, and you're like, "Holy crap!" Even a nobody can still wield this power. No one would even be expecting that if you kept pounding the point home that they weren't anybody.
But Anakin's mother was a nobody, and he came from a slave background, so there's no reason.
And they didn't do anything with her. She followed Luke around on the
I'll
mountain
leave it out then.
for about 40 minutes, asking him for help and telling him that the stakes were high and things needed to be done. And he kept telling her to go away. Like I said to Sam earlier, he spent 40 minutes telling her to get off his lawn, right? And then he kills a fish, he milks a cow, and she leaves.
Can I ask
That's
the most
the
important
extent
question
of
about
it.
this?
The Loch Ness
Yeah.
monster.
Yes.
I was a huge favorite of the Porgs.
I actually like the Porgs. Got
They
no
were
problem
better
with the
than
Porgs.
Love them. Who else agrees?
I agree, but why did they guilt Chewbacca, who was eating a porg? What do porgs taste like?
Eat it anyway.
I don't know. They were
I know.
You've already
like
killed
cat
it.
penguins.
They look
I
like
was totally
they look
on
like
board
ducks.
with
They
it.
look more like duck. They look more, it's a gamey meat.
Somebody
gamey.
somebody doing a review was sitting with a friend, and he goes, "Okay, here's a scene where Chewie's going to eat a porg, right?" And then Chewie actually lifted a porg, and he goes, "No, I was just joking. I didn't even realize that was really going to happen." He goes, "You're kidding. This is actually going to be a scene in this movie."
Yeah. That's another. That's another thing. There's just like that scene with Luke milking the alien
I'm
and
so happy this movie was bad.
and
sorry.
stabbing the fish and carrying the fish. It felt like Monty Python. It really did. Like it really
No
felt
one
like
was paying any
there was that
attention to me.
scene.
2 years ago in The Force Awakens when I said you cannot build a story on this.
You could have. No, and I disagree with that.
No.
Which means the show is saved.
Right. If you were thinking about it, you could have. You were not a corporately run structure that had to pump out a movie in another 2 years.
I know.
You could probably think about it. I knew for a fact they weren't going to be able to build on that. Because the next person, first of all, I found out that J.J. Abrams wasn't going to do the next one, right? So it's going to be someone else. They're going to hand it off to someone else, and somebody else is going to have to pick up the mantle. Then Ryan Johnson announced that there was no plan.
Yeah.
He had to wing it. So I'm like, I know for a fact.
No, I know. And J.J. Abrams just submitted his story for episode 9 today.
They asked when
today.
Colin Trevorrow got fired for various reasons from doing episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
They asked Ryan Johnson, because that's when Ryan Johnson was hot.
Yeah.
They asked him, and he had just finished with the Last Jedi. They asked him if he was going to do it. And for some reason, it was inexplicable to everybody. For some reason, it's like, nope, not doing it, not touching it. Now, it could be because they gave him a new trilogy and he knew he had to work on that. It could be because they didn't want him on it, which I don't think. I don't think that Disney had any clue that there was going to be this kind of backlash to this movie. And in fairness, the movie is a success. Not saying that I'm not.
Sure.
I'm not creating.
At some point, though, you damage the brand. Like that's the thing.
Yeah,
like, do you know what's really funny? And again, I'll use my parents as an example because I mean they're like just they're everyday people who aren't maybe as closely tied to this world that we're in.
Right.
You know, my dad walked out of the theater saying there's no character development, but it made a lot of money. And my mom when we got home, how was the movie? I didn't really like it very much. Even my dad's like, yeah, it really wasn't very good. She's like, but it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, so it's...
Someone else said that online, and I was like, yeah, you know what? McDonald's makes $30 billion a year. It's still crap food. You know, no one's getting healthy eating McDonald's. Everybody knows it.
Right. Oh, go ahead.
Go for it, Brian. The question is, at this point, is it such a franchise and you've come to expect so much? Can anyone ever make a movie that will please the majority of the masses?
No.
No,
yes.
It's a losing fact no matter what you
go
into.
No, you can maybe not through unrealistic expectations, but you can make a good movie.
Right.
So someone could come. So people like us could even defend it. Even I can look at the Force Awakens and say I think this is a horrible movie. I think it's a horrible sequel. I think it's horrible to the franchise. Well, it's a solid film. It's a solid story. It's a repeat. It's a copy. It's a retread. But it's kind of a solid story.
Right.
So I can't say it's a bad film.
Right.
It's just a bad, in my opinion, it's
You
a bad
think it's
sequel.
actually a bad Star Wars
movie?
movie.
It's a bad sequel.
Right.
It was a terrible sequel, and they left a lot of stuff out that I knew for
It
a fact,
needed to be filled in
yes, as
in
a
this movie.
storyteller,
It
I
had to
knew-
build toward something.
And I knew they weren't going to do it.
And Ryan Johnson just basically came and said,
I'm doing
JJ, all these great things you set up, I'm going to poop on them.
And he probably looked at it and said, this is too difficult. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
These threads are too difficult. I'm throwing all these out. Nobody cares anyway.
I know.
Yeah, I think you need a fan to look at it almost from a fan's eyes and say, does this make sense? Do I need the stampede scene? What would a fan love? What character development? What characters? What...
It's amazing you say that because Ryan Johnson actually said, George Lucas never went into it thinking, like, what are the fans like? So I had to go in the same way. And he says, I'm a diehard fan, but I had to go into it making my movie. And it's like, you made a terrible movie, dude. Like, you just made a bad movie.
But also,
George Lucas had the light of all those other, the weight of all those other movies on him. So
Sure.
he had
But he also
success,
said-
so he got away with a lot more. Than
He
this
also
guy
said, though, how do I get the next generation of kids? Now, I think the prequels were kids.
CG horses.
No, of
do
course.
it, right?
But, like,
the kids love it.
The kids really enjoyed this, and now we have more Star Wars fans, but I think it could have had better elements, better
Those
storytelling
kids
later.
can now drink beer. When we come back, we go spinning the racks, Star Wars style.
Hey, Larry.
Oh, man, how are you?
Larry, this is
Good to-
Michael.
good to finally meet
Hassan.
you.
Good to see you. Hey, how are you, sir?
How are you?
Good seeing you. Good seeing you. Nice to meet you. Jack, how you doing? Brian. Good to see you, Brian. I'm Larry.
It's my daughter Barbara.
How are you?
Yeah, she's now mad at you because you've given her spoilers for the
Oh.
I'm teasing. She didn't hear it. She was reading. She said, I just make you guys feel bad. It's totally cool.
They eat a pork.
She agrees.
Things can you didn't come earlier when they really gave the
Well,
spoilers.
she agrees. She likes the old ones better than the new ones anyway. So
There you go.
All right,
awesome.
How
old?
I shared the originals.
4, 5, and 6?
Yes, I shared
Okay.
those with her. I didn't share one with her because I was too embarrassed by one. So I shared 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We saw 7.
See, I think 2 is the worst one of the bunch.
I think 1's the worst one.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of people
That's
think
correct.
it's
Thank
bad.
you. Yes.
A lot of people think it's Why? bad. It's like, hey, look what we can do with CGI in the
I
Jersey
agree.
guys, though.
I agree. No,
I actually agree with you. I think 2 is the worst.
2 is also terrible.
2 is also bad.
Really
yes,
bad.
2 also bad. Yes.
But a lot of people think 3 is everyone's favorite. A lot
Out of the prequels.
That generation.
Out of the
No,
prequels.
that generation.
Oh, period?
Yeah, that's their favorite Actually, period. I didn't show her when
Explains
she
a lot
showed
about
her
this
3,
generation.
4, 5, 6. Then begrudgingly showed her 2. I might show her 1 eventually. We actually skipped school to see 7.
Nice.
I liked 7.
And then we saw the one which I liked best was the Rogue One. We saw Rogue One.
That was great.
That was good. And then we have to go see the next one.
At this point, I'm not gonna lie, I like the cartoons more than the movies.
You know how many people tell me that?
The Rebels and Clone Wars were fantastic.
Clone Wars is really great. Rebels.
Ah, we didn't do the Starbucks one. We didn't do the teleportation one tonight.
Saving the
I
Starbucks
don't
for
know,
tomorrow.
like,
Okay.
body thing that got a little weird. But other than that,
Oh, you want the teleportation one?
Yeah, but it's better than just we cut this guy
Tomorrow,
in
yeah.
half.
And the Starbucks one, I love. I like that one.
Yeah.
He was
like Boba Fett all over the
That was the most famous one.
you know, light Darth Vader on fire. Hey, he's fine. We gave him his Oakland Raiders helmet. He's
Yeah,
good.
he's alright.
Going hot.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc, and streaming live on facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. Talking comics, movies, TV, pop culture, all the fun stuff. Want to thank our guests tonight. We had Priya call in. We had, who's on talkradio.nyc, Follow Me Friday, every Friday. We had Pat Shan call in. We had Derek Becker from Comic Pros and Cons. We had co-creator of Deadpool himself, Fabian Nicieza, come in, give us some great insight into the new movie, which is awesome. We're really excited about that. I want to thank Brian Phillips. Jack O'Donnell came in studio, got to check all this stuff out. My wife and Jack's fiance very upset that they learned that someone tried to eat a porg in the film. They're very cute and potentially very tasty.
Yes, tasty. I was hungry.
If you like what you heard, and you actually got to hear a little bit of the behind the scenes as well too, we actually normally do the behind the scenes with our Patreon page. So go to patreon.com/Secrets of the Sire. You get a behind the scenes feed. It goes live the entire time. It actually goes live about a half an hour before the show airs. So you get to hear our conversation. You get to talk to us and all that fun stuff. So do that. Come back tomorrow. Secrets of the Sire will be back again as part of the Talk Radio NYC Marathon. GoFundMe.com/Talk Radio NYC Marathon. We got Adam Weinberg, Callie Albert, Joan Peltzer, Antonia Thompson, Brienne Castillo. It's not Brienne. It's Brianni. I know. I'm always going to get that name wrong. William Paris, Cardell Henderson and Kai Cole, Jill Morgan Meek, Rob K, Elizabeth Tripp, and myself. We're going to be there. I'm going to be here from 1 to 2. We're going to have some special guests as well, too. He's sitting next to me. And we're going to do the best of the best for 2017. Next week, we're going to celebrate our 100th consecutive episode by taking a week off.
He's sleeping. Sleeping through this entire hour segment.
But not really. See, this is the thing. Jump on Facebook at 8 p.m. I'm sure you'll get a message from me. We also have our end-of-year special. It was recorded at New York Comic Con. It features Comic Book School's Buddy Scalera interviewing Marvel's Darren Sanchez, Valiant Comics' Warren Simons, and Dynamite Entertainment's Joe Rybant. It was recorded live at New York Comic Con 2017. If you're looking for ways to break into the industry, if you're looking for tips, tricks, these are guys who hire people to do comic books. It's your first step into this whole pop culture doorway. You get some good commentary from Hassan and I. You get a little interview from Buddy Scalera, who moderates the entire panel. So that will be released on iTunes. And again, check me back out. Check us back out on the Facebook page, 8 p.m. next week. We'll keep the streak going alive. All right, we've talked a lot of Last Jedi.
Yeah, we did.
Because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. It is definitely one of the most controversial divisive, polarizing films. I think, Hassan, you actually did sum it up. After walking away from that movie, I did feel as if there was not a plan, which I think was my biggest disappointment in this trilogy. If you're doing a trilogy, you should kind of have a.
I think it was arrogant.
Have a plan
to approach something with this much gravitas. Like him or hate him, the prequels, the original.
Right.
They've got weight to them, and to approach doing a whole third trilogy,
right,
without thinking that you have to plan the whole thing out.
If they'd have just done a series of standalone movies, right?
Yeah. If it was a whole bunch of Rogue Ones,
yeah,
would have been fine.
Yeah.
It would have been like, you know what? I think Disney's actually building to something. I think they actually might be able to do something with this. But I mean, the monstrosity, and I'll use big words, the monstrosity of like capitalizing off of the original trilogy, and then systematically killing off all the characters in the original trilogy, just character assassinating each one of them in their accomplishment.
Sure.
While capitalizing on the fact that they're in those movies, so that everyone who's nostalgia hungry will go running to them. I think it's one of the worst perpetrations in like entertainment history. Personally. Go ahead. Sorry.
But Rogue One really was amazing due to the fact of the tie-in from the old ones.
Right. Yes.
Without that, if that's a standalone
I
movie,
agree.
You go, okay, so why is this girl stealing blueprints?
Right.
I don't get it.
Right. That you need because you know what the blueprints are for. Right.
The blueprints for the Death Star, so
right.
they can blow it up.
But it doesn't. There's no Skywalker in it. It doesn't have legs beyond its own inception, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like it doesn't. It interacts. It intermingles with the originals, but it doesn't leave a footprint. It doesn't leave a lasting residual. And that's kind of why it works. People could allow it to happen. It's like, oh, this was kind of interesting.
Until 5 years from now, when Disney decides, you know what, we should bring that girl back from Rogue One. Do another one, and then it's going to lower the rate of Rogue One.
When you're constantly cranking out stuff, like your analogy of Christmas every day, when you have to produce Christmas every day, of course you're gonna.
And that was their initiative, a new Star Wars movie every single year.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
And there is something to that. All right, we do this every week. We go spin in the racks, bring you the most fantastical pop culture news out there.
The year's over. Can we change that?
I'm still waiting for that as a ringtone.
Let me tell you right now. There is a lot of excitement because we're going to have a new set when we come back. We're going to have new video when we come back. We're taking the week off and we're going to do some really cool things. And I better deliver on that now that I promised.
Now that you said it.
But unless you're downloading us on iTunes, itunes.com/Secrets of the Sire, and keeping up with us every single week, then what are you going to do?
You just tell them we changed the set. Yeah, check out this new set.
Rotten Tomatoes insists Last Jedi's low audience score is genuine.
Well, we got to set that up because
this is from comicbookresources.com.
What had happened was it got stellar reviews critically.
Yeah,
got like a 93%, something like that on Rotten Tomatoes critically, and the audience reviews were dropping exponentially. They dropped from like 69 to, I think at this point they're like at a 54.
It's a 54. So nothing illustrates the unexpected divisiveness quite like the 39% gulf between the film critics and audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes, which only seems to be widening, while some have suggested the audience score has been manipulated. Right. One person even claims single-handed responsibility using bots. The website insists all the ratings are authentic. We have several teams of security, network, and social database experts constantly monitoring reviews and ratings to ensure they are genuine. They haven't seen anything unusual with The Last Jedi, except there has been an uptick in the number of written user reviews submitted. Aside from that, everything is normal. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Now there are other sites like CinemaScope, and there's an IMDb who have different results. They have different scores. They have higher ratings. Like I think CinemaScope has it at A+ or A, and IMDb has it up in the 70s, if not the 80s or the 90s.
Sure.
So that's another thing that leads people to believe that the Rotten Tomatoes is somehow manipulated into having a low rating. But from the backlash that I've seen all over the place, where all in the little spots that I go, and granted that is not a healthy a healthy meter for taking the
Sure.
temperature of the entire population of the planet. But it seems like everywhere you go, the majority of the reactions, it's like the prequels all over again. The majority of the reactions are negative, with a couple of people sprinkle here and there, fighting back, saying I loved it, and I liked it X,
Yeah.
and I liked Y. So I'm not going to say that the majority of the people hate this movie and that it's universally hated. I'm not going to make that statement, but
No, it's universally meh.
it is definitely polarized.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
It is a controversial thing.
All right, so we've got 3 minutes. Brian and Jack, we're gonna throw the thing on you. By the way, again, thank you to all our fans, people who listen to the show, friends, colleagues. We consider you all friends. We consider you all friends.
Villains.
Give us your final take. Last Jedi. How many lightsabers and why? Out of 10.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
8.5.
Why?
Thought it was fun, visually stunning, and like I said, I pushed aside the unbelievable reality parts of it. So, for me, it's what it is.
Okay. All right, Jack?
I would say 7. It was beautiful. It was very cinematic. There was definitely some things that could be tightened up, but you got that Star Wars feel when it needed it. The Hoth, all the fun stuff. And it was entertaining. It was a fun, entertaining movie. If you were entertained, you got the Star Wars things. That, to me, was a win.
Hassan's going to give it the broken lightsaber?
Yeah.
Like the one cut.
I just say 3.
Actually, hang on a second. This camera angle is for Priya, who's dying to see you on camera all the time. So, there you go.
I give it a 3. And that's only because it was visually very stunning. It was well put together for what it was, even though there were huge chunks missing.
Yeah.
And the acting was pretty solid.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give my final word on it. As a Chapter 3, it was like a 10 out of 10. It resolved every single thing that we saw in that second chapter in between Force Awakens and this movie, not Rogue One's.
The only
problem is there was no movie in between. If there had been, I would have really loved this movie. I give it 4 out of 10 lightsabers. Tune in tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, unless you're downloading us on iTunes or iHeartRadio, in which case just keep downloading us.
Yeah.
Give us a review. Please leave us a review, hopefully positive. And we'll catch you back here tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Secrets of the Sire, signing off.